So what is inflammation? Let's just get to the point. Inflammation is a pathological, of course, process that is conditioned by presence of a foreign body in one of the tissues or in one of or multiple systems, organs, including GI tract and any of other systems in the body. It doesn't have to be only one tissue. It could be a number of tissues, all tissues. Especially when the inflammation is systemic, then we may talk about the presence of the process in different tissues, affecting the organs simultaneously, getting the functions of the organs off of normal state. So what is that foreign body that gets into the tissue and triggers the inflammation? It is antigen. We know the antigen is also called allergen. Antigen and allergen are pretty much the same thing. Why is it antigen? Because it's against our genome, our normal function or structure of our tissue, something that is foreign. And it's not a nutrient either, because nutrients, in the way that our body requires them, would not be a foreign body. It would be the required nutrient, which is assimilated into the bloodstream from GI tract and can be utilized either for the needs of energy or for the needs of restructuring and rebuilding the tissue. But if it is a foreign body, then it means it does not have the shape or form of the nutrient. So this allergen triggers the immune response. What is that immune response? Is the production of antibody. And we know a reaction, immune reaction, that is called antigen antibody reaction, where our body starts producing globulins or special proteins to form blood cells, immune cells, to protect us from the invasion of the foreign body. So this is the trigger point and the baseline for allergic reaction and inflammation, because once the antigen is targeted by the immune cell and eventually destroyed, then the immune cell also dies. When it dies, it is carried out of the body through the filtration system, through the liver. If it happens inside the tissue, then from the tissue into the lymphatic circulation, into the blood circulation, into the liver, and then out into the intestine, or from the liver to the kidney and out of the system into the external environment. But if this foreign body is not just in one single form, but it's in a multiple form, where we have multiplicity of these foreign bodies at the same time, and maybe continuously, day in and day out, that are entering the bloodstream, then we're talking about a mass production of antibodies and bigger scale of this antigen antibody reaction, producing the macrophages, the immune process that's called phagocytosis, when the immune cells neutralize and destroy the antigen, and they would do so inside the tissues. And once the reaction is over and the antigen is destroyed as well as the immune cell, these remainders may not particularly be able to eliminate from the tissue. They may stay inside the tissue, meaning that the system is not ready to fully eliminate metabolites of these reactions in order to deal with them later. How does this happen that these antigens or allergens, and what shape do they have, get into our bloodstream? Mostly, the allergens are considered to be proteins because it is the structure of the protein that our body views as an antigen. Most of the lipids, they may not specifically pose such threat. They don't have to be viewed as antigens, except for a few times when the fats are associated with proteins, some lipoprotein compounds that come into our digestive tract as part of food, and if the lipids are transitional fats, like trans fats, heated oils that have lost their natural structure. Carbohydrates, just same as lipids, hardly may be viewed for antigens, except again one time when the polysaccharide or more complex saccharide can be associated with protein The allergens of this type are contained within foods, of course. They are part of grains and legumes and some of other plant-based foods as the preserving proteins, as well as there's a lot of lectins in nightshade vegetables. A more complex and serious factor, which they're all kind of serious, of course, but this one stands separately. It is the animal protein, high molecular animal complex protein. Let's mention here that our body requires amino acids as far as the proteins go. We need to understand proteins as amino acids because the final building block to our tissue is the monomeric amino acid. It should not be in a chain because the chain cannot be used as a building block. It's already a foreign body. And what happened with the animal proteins, and I'm not only talking about the animal flesh and meat, the muscle tissue of an animal slaughtered, which on top of it has the energetic aspect, of course, too, like emotion of death and pain and unhappiness. So this is very considerable too, but many people just ignore that because that's what they kind of adapt to, and that's not a factor for them. But anyway, another product is dairy product, which is casein, main part of proteins in dairy products, substance they make the cheese out of. High molecular proteins require very strong acids and intense digestion in order to fully be broken to amino acids. Since that does not happen, especially in us, because it's not our typical food, on top of it, we process it thermally, making the bonds even harder to break during the digestion. Some part, of course, will be broken down to amino acids. The rest of the proteins will not be disassembled. They will retain some structure of the complete protein. Eventually, when this process is continuous and the lining of the gut weakens down, wears down, and begins to leach and leak the fragments of proteins, which pose the threat of the foreign body, will get into the bloodstream, will trigger the production of immune cells. And as long as we have this process ongoing and retain the metabolites of these reactions, we subjected to suffer from inflammation. If you find this video helpful, please give it a like, share it with your family and friends, subscribe to our channel, and get notifications. Also, leave a comment of at least 8 words. Comments make difference.